Welcome to SuperTalk, the podcast that scratches your superhero itch. Just two suburban dads nerding out over superhero stuff on the small screen and the big. Buckle up, people. Enjoy the ride. All right, let's get this party started. You ready, sir?
Let's go.
In 3, 2.
Welcome to Super Talk, the weekly podcast dedicated to news and reviews of comic book media on the big and small screen. This is episode number 54. I'm your host, Brian Professor Pettis, and with me, as always, is my illustrious co-host, Titanium Tony Estrella. Back from Florida, from the fishing trip.
The open state, yeah. Absolutely. Went on a little fishing trip. Visited a good buddy of mine down there, Dr. Nick Rutledge. He's a podiatrist, great guy. Had a blast. Has a nice piece of property on some on a river down there, and real close to the ocean. And it was a blast. We had a lot of fun.
And your feet are in good shape too. So
my feet are in great shape. Yeah, yeah. He was like, yeah, your feet are all right. You know, you're in good shape. Now my friend Tim, Tiny Tim, he got a very low foot rating from Dr. Rutledge. So Dr. Nick gave him the kibosh on his feet. He even got a pedicure before he went down there. So
because he knew the doctor.
Because he knew he would look at his feet. And he was like, no, your feet are like a 5.
Don't you ever wonder that? You ever like hang out with or you know, go to dinner with people who are doctors and you're like, man, I bet you they're like judging me. You know? Like, you know, they're like a dermatologist is like, are they looking at my mole?
Right.
You know, it's just like, wonder.
You got to prepare for that. Yeah, absolutely. But he's such a great guy and a super fun time we had. So shout out to Dr. Nick.
All right. Well, before we get started, I did want to allow Titanium to make a little bit of an announcement this week. So I think he's been working hard at finalizing something we've had in the works now for a while. And we're crossing our fingers, but it's looking like the Fairfax Comic Con event is happening this year, and we are registered, correct?
They have accepted our application.
All right.
So we are registered.
Have you given them any money yet?
Yes.
That means everything, right? They've taken your money and cashed your check. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Hopefully no refund in the future, but that's good. So what's the plan? We have a date. We have a
date. I need to work out some details with the organizer there at Expo Center. Try to get some power to the table. But we will be there March 5th. March 5th. Mark your calendars. March 5th. We're going to be at the Dulles Expo Center in Chantilly, Virginia, at the Fairfax Comic Con. And we will have a table there and hopefully do another live show there.
Yeah, we'll give we'll do some giveaways. We'll be meeting some people and tell them about the show, giving away some shirts and stickers and hats and things like that. But the plan is, if we can make it work, we'll record an episode live from Fairfax Comic Con while all the hubbub is going on there. So
that'll be fun.
Should be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I hope that works out. Damn this virus.
Yeah, we'll see. Again, this is an event that we had planned on doing last summer. It was originally delayed and then ultimately canceled. And now it's been rescheduled for this March. So, yeah, exciting, and we're going to be amongst our people. So hopefully,
that's right.
Hopefully we'll have some good things to report from there.
Nerds assemble.
Right, exactly. All right, we also want to thank the patrons that bring the show to you. And these are the listeners who sponsor the show directly. They donate $1 per episode. Just help bring the show to you. Patreon.com/SuperTalk if you want to sign up. Thanks to those who have done that already. We really appreciate it and wouldn't be able to do this without you. So if you want to become a patron, go to patreon.com/SuperTalk.
Thank you, patrons. Thank you for jumping on board the SuperTalk podcast train.
Well, let's get into the review section this week, and we've got a couple things to talk about here. First and foremost, we had episode 4 for Peacemaker drop last week. After we got the first 3 episodes in week 1, this was kind of the new kind of keeping the story going episode, and man, they keep dropping some hits. I'm telling you, the content of this show is pretty spectacular, and you and I talked about this last week. James Gunn's writing is just perfect for this style of series and for this character. It just the comedic back and forth between all the different characters on the show, the way that he's written the dialogue for the Peacemaker character, and even all the supporting characters. It really is just, I mean, you can just tell he's really enjoying himself in writing the show.
It's so fun. I mean, it's just a fun show. And when Marvel does their Disney Plus series, we're always looking at Easter eggs, and we're looking at this and that and speculating on this and that. I mean, even though he brings up a lot of DC comic stuff that's canon and Batmite and things like that, it's woven into the texture of the show so seamlessly, and it's basically, the outcome is fun. It's just so fun. It's a great show, and we get into it, but go ahead.
Yeah, so we could just do a quick recap of the episode. This is kind of the first 3 episodes were really, bringing us to the culmination of them taking this hit on this senator who was supposedly a butterfly, and nobody on the team except Muir knew what a butterfly was until the hit on the senator happened, and then they found out that the senator's family were all butterflies, and they were sitting at the dining room table eating some honey type liquid out of a bowl with these things coming out of their mouths, and Vigilante ends up taking out most of the family except the senator, and then Peacemaker and Vigilante get captured by Judo Master. They get taken to the basement. There's a fight down there. Peacemaker blows the face off of the senator, and out flies this little
alien
winged
type,
fairy type of thing. And that's how that episode ended. We really didn't know what was going to happen after that, and we see at the beginning of this episode, it's kind of the aftermath of that, what happened, and the whole team is Muir's pissed off that it didn't go so smoothly, and everybody screwed up, and they're arguing with each other, Vigilante is now officially a member of the team. It looks like Muir's willing to take him on. He says, "Look, we need a bunch of nut jobs, and he's another nut job, right?" And,
right.
So we need him there.
Waller gave us a killer that won't kill.
Right. And that
Vigilante will.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons why he kept him. And Peacemaker.
And he saw too much. He knows too much.
Right. Peacemaker's like, I'd be able to give somebody who put the mother freaking dove of peace on my sniper rifle. It's just hysterical. And I think that's a big under theme of this show is we saw how ruthless and we'll just say he really didn't think about anybody else but himself in the Suicide Squad movie, and he's really struggling with that now.
Yeah.
And
there's a big scene in this episode where he has flashbacks of killing what's his name? Flag. When he
Rick Flag.
Rick Flag. When he killed Flag, he's
and Rick
Flag
he says to him, "Peacemaker, what a joke," right? And he's seeing the Flash, so he's really struggling with that. And then we also get a lot of undertones in this episode of what his father did to him at raising him, and how Robert Patrick, who plays his father in the show,
the White Dragon,
really worked him over as a child, and Peacemaker asked a lot of the other members of the team, "Hey, did you read my file? What did it say about my father and how he raised me?" And so he's really starting to really kind of think back of like how he was raised and why he is who he is, and he's struggling with that, right?
Yeah.
And I think
he's starting to realize how fucked up it was.
Yeah, oh for sure. And another funny scene is when he goes back to his house, and he's looking through his stuff, and we find out that he actually captured the butterfly being in a jar, and he's keeping it in his house,
and he has some honey for it,
with another jar of honey as well. So he told the team that he killed it, that he ended up shooting it, but he didn't. He kept it, and so he's kind of like trying to figure out things on his own as well. He's not leaving it up to team to tell him what's going on.
What a great character arc! I mean, they're really from this mindless killing machine, big dum-dum, they're really bringing in the fact you're starting to feel for the guy, that he's struggling with. he is who he is because of the way his father raised him and tortured him and trained him and made him kill somebody as a small kid. And then the loss of his brother, we don't know how that happened. We got a kind of a clip of it. His brother was kind of foaming at the mouth. It looked like he was in some kind of fight or something. I don't know if they fought each other, but
I think we're going to find that out eventually. What happened there? But the father made mention of that, and I think the first or second episode where he's like, I wish your brother was the one who had survived.
Yeah,
and it made you think that maybe he made them fight each other to the death or something like that. And
yeah,
we'll find that out, I'm sure. But Peacemaker and Vigilante go back to his father's home. Because he wants to get another helmet that he thinks he needs for the mission. Well, he ends up taking all of the helmets, and
even the scurvy helmet.
Yeah, and they're looking at the White Dragon costume, and Vigilante's like, there's too many holes in the seams there. That's a terrible costume. No, wait, like a duck couldn't wear it. And the whole conversation about the duck wearing the costume was just hysterical. But as they're leaving the house, one of the funniest scenes of the show was, they're leaving the house, and he's trying to avoid the nosy neighbor, right, who's trimming his hedges, seems like every day. And he walks out, and he's there, and he's like, Peacemaker, supposed to be some superhero. He said something. I'm like, Batman's got a cadre of villains. The Joker, the Riddler, the Penguin. Yeah. Who do you have? And he goes, I don't have a cadre, because I kill all my freaking enemies. Yeah. Batman's a pussy. Yeah. If he had the guts to kill his enemies, they wouldn't be sending him to jail and then come out and kill more people. Right. You know how many people have extensively died from Batman not killing people? So he was just calling Batman a pussy because he said, look, at least I have the guts to kill my enemies. He puts his enemies in jail, then they escape from jail and kill more people. If he had the balls, he would just kill them. And
that was a great line.
It was kind of funny, and it was really...
It was a great back and forth.
And frankly, there's some truth to what he was saying. I mean,
he
how many times
accuses him of being a supervillain, right?
Right. How many times has Batman captured all of these supervillains, put them in Arkham Asylum, and they've escaped and killed more people? I mean,
well, we'll get into that a little bit later, but like the first episode of Injustice, right?
Oh, the movie.
Oh,
yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. So we'll kind of talk through that later on. We're going to do a little review of that here in a minute. But then we get a back at the headquarters of the team. They had captured Judo Master, and he was strapped to the couch, and he finds a way to free himself from his bonds. And then he kicks the team, and he leaves. And Peacemaker's going to goes after him and runs out, and he does a great superhero jump off the top of the roof. Yeah. It was awesome. And he's like, rematch, motherfucker.
Yeah.
He's like, it's on.
The smack talk was hilarious.
Oh, it was great. And they get into a really good fight there, and very, they kind of did it because John Cena's a professional wrestler, so there's a lot of wrestling moves in that fight scene and everything, slamming up on the ground, on cars. It was really fantastic. Well, he ends up being shot by Leota. Leota comes out, and the Judo Master, after getting his ass kicked a little bit, is like, look, the butterflies, they're not what you think. They're boom. He gets shot in the chest by Leota, and he's like, what do you think he was going to say?
Yeah, right.
I guess we'll never know.
Yeah.
But
she's like, is he dead? He's like, no. These martial arts can slow their heart rate. He's still alive.
No, he can move his kidney up into his heart, and his heart can start beating for him. And she's like, they can't do that. It was hysterical.
He is still alive, though.
Yeah, he is still alive somehow. They got him back in the headquarters on an IV, so somehow he survives a gunshot to the chest. But then we do get some. Oh, and the other kind of side plot to this is Leota actually kind of puts a bug in Vigilante's ear and says, I think he's a nice guy. I think Peacemaker, he's a nice dude. He's a really nice guy. But I think his father's the one that's keeping him from being a nice guy.
Yeah.
Man, if his father wasn't around, I bet you he could be a really good superhero.
Because his father's been put in prison.
Yeah, his father's in prison, he was had been framed for what Peacemaker did. But his father, Vigilante's like, I'll be right back. I got to do something. And then he walks up to the jail where all of the guards are having lunch outside, picks up a trash can and starts throwing it into the window. And then because he wants to get himself thrown in jail. And then he does. And that whole scene where he meets Robert Patrick, Peacemaker's father, the White Dragon, in prison. He's sitting at the table with a bunch of other white supremacist prisoners, right? And they're all talking.
And he's trying to associate with them.
Oh, he sits down and he goes, "Hey guys, let's all tell each other about ourselves." And he says something to the fact of, "Let's all go around the table and take turns of the things that African Americans have contributed to society." And they're all like looking at him like, "What the hell?" And it's just so funny. He's obviously trying to rile them up.
Yeah, he's trying to start a fight.
And a couple of them, end up getting pissed and take swings at him, and he kicks the living crap out of him. Mm-hmm. And he wants Peacemaker's father to come at him so he can take him out, but he doesn't. He's like, "No," he said, "I'm not that stupid. If I come at you, the guards are going to see that I did, and I'm not that dumb."
Yeah.
And then the team ends up getting him freed from prison. And at the end of the episode, we find out that he feels like, "I don't think I helped the situation. I probably hurt it.
Right.
Made it worse."
Yeah, because his father, he says something like, "You're a bad father," and then his father puts it together that, Peacemaker sent him in here to kill me, so I wouldn't say anything about his mission. And then he starts screaming for the detective again.
Because the reason why Vigilante knew his father was in prison was because they went to prison together so that Peacemaker could have a conversation with his father. And his father basically told him, like, "Look, I'm going to tell him it wasn't me, it was you, and you're going to be put in here, not me." And he's like, "Well, I'm not a rat, but that's what I'm going to do." He goes, "Well, that really does make you a rat." So anyway, he knows what's going on there, so he thinks things are getting worse. But then we do get some at the end of the episode. Again, the undertones of the hair metal rock that's in this show is great. Peacemaker goes back to his trailer. He's lying on his bed. He lights up a joint. He puts on some hair metal, and he blows the pot smoke into the jar that the butterflies in. Gets him high. Yeah. But he's getting flashbacks now that you were mentioning earlier of being forced to kill somebody as a child. We saw his father had some guy tied up in a chair and handed him a knife and basically was like, "Your turn," and he's like, "Holy crap." So he's remembering some of these things. Then we see the scene of his brother falling to the ground, foam coming out of his mouth. So he's wondering, so we don't know what happened there, but obviously something happened there. And he's having memories of him and his brother just hanging out in their room, listening to music and stuff. So they had a good relationship, and ultimately something happened. And I think we're going to find out that in a later episode. But the big reveal right at the end of the episode, when that scene was over.
What a twist. Yeah. I mean, I did not see this coming.
Muir gets a call from Leota, and she's like, "You got to come back. You got to come back. Vigilante just got out of jail, and he's got something he wants to tell us." And he's like, "I'll be right there." And then we see him sit down at the table, and the thing comes out of his mouth, and he starts eating out of a bowl.
He's a butterfly.
He is a butterfly.
Wow. So I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Great twists and turns.
Yeah, so that's a big part of this episode. We'll find out where that's going, but that's how the episode ended. But great, and we've got 2 more episodes, I think, right? It's six episodes?
I believe so.
Yeah, so hey, we're looking forward to it. It's been great so far, and I think James Gunn and HBO and Warner Brothers and DC have a hit on their hands with this character, and I'd love to see where they're going to go with this at the end.
6 or 8?
I can't remember. I don't know. I thought it was only 6.
They released the first 3, right?
Yeah.
Right off the bat, and then I think I remember there being 5 more. So maybe not.
Maybe. Yeah, it's either 6 or 8.
February 20th, I think, is the last episode.
Okay.
So
well, then it's 8. It's got to be 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're halfway there, so then even better.
Yeah, even better.
And as Titanium alluded to earlier, we also had a movie hit HBO Max this week. I mentioned this a few episodes ago that right after in DC's fandom event, they had run an ad for a new animated movie they were releasing called Injustice, and this was based on the NetherRealm's video game that came out based on the DC characters called Injustice, where all the DC characters end up fighting each other, and they decided to make a movie out of it, and man, is it dark.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh man, is it dark.
I just started it. I haven't seen it.
It's dark.
I just started it. It's good.
I won't give away the entire movie, but the plot is Superman has a massive tragedy that causes him to question his methods and and his goodness, right? And so, the thing about Superman is that he's the most powerful being on the planet, but he's fundamentally a good person, and that's why he's not like Homelander on on The Boys.
Although he could be.
Right, but if he was
Omni-Man.
Right, yeah, if he wasn't a good person, he could easily, do some pretty bad things, and ultimately he starts questioning that and starts changing what he's doing. And some of the Justice League members are with him, and some of the Justice League members are not. Yeah. And it's a really, really good kind of little movie. If you're interested in the characters and seeing where it goes, it's pretty fun to watch. So it's probably worth a look. So HBO Max, it's called Injustice. It's really good.
Animated movie.
Yeah.
Yep. Very good.
All right, well, let's jump right into the news this week. And we had, as we mentioned on last week's episode, on Monday night we had a football game, NFL playoff game. We did finally get the drop of the Moonknight full trailer.
Yeah.
And I know you were giddy. Probably watched it like 12 times.
I watched it more than 12 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, we got to see Ethan Hawke's character for the first time. We got to see a little bit more of him in his uniform. We got to see more of his personalities, the different personalities, and how he's struggling with his, not only the multiple personalities, but his sleep disorder. So he can't sleep at night. He's always having nightmares, and he's chaining himself to the bed because he's afraid of what he's doing when he's sleeping.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. He finds a phone hidden in his wall, and it's ringing, and he picks it up, and somebody calls him Mark on the phone, but he's going by a different name, Steven at the time, and he's like, "Why'd you call me Mark?" So you kind of get some insight into this multiple personality disorder that he's struggling with, and the different real personalities that are living a life that they think is their life, while there's these other personalities.
Yeah, we've talked about this trailer, and it is. I've seen it a lot. I've watched it and broke down. I looked at each frame by frame. It's really good. I mean, I think this series is, for me, it's one of the most anticipated shows coming out in 2022.
And we did get a release date too, right?
Yeah, March 30th.
March 30th. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
As we discussed last week, you had kind of heard rumors that it was going to be late March. I would have been upset if we didn't get a release date at all. The fact that we got one is good. The fact that it's March 30th
sucks.
Kind of sucks, but at the same time,
at least we have it.
We have a release date, so we know it's coming.
I think this is going to be really cool. There's so many little Easter eggs and so many little twists that people are reading into and that I read into myself. You just don't know. I mean, he's the Ethan Hawke villain. Who is he? Is he the sun god? Is he possessed? He's some kind of cult leader. We know Moon Knight and the Sun God have this big conflict in the comics. Is he playing that character?
Yeah,
who knows?
We'll get a little bit more into his history as we get closer to the series.
Sure, yeah, we'll break him down.
But these Egyptian gods, or they're elder gods of the Marvel universe, they can't be on Earth themselves. They need an avatar, and the Sun God, we believe, has picked the Ethan Hawke character as his avatar, and we know the Moon God, who is the one that's inhabits Moonknight, and gives him his powers. And so we'll kind of see where that goes. There's some theories about that. We feel that he's beating up some creature in a bathroom.
Definitely a jackal, I think.
Or Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
That could be that character as well, who is a Moon Knight villain from his comics, Werewolf by Night. And then there's some talk about that character showing up in other places in the MCU, so that would make a lot of sense there too. But hey, it got us excited. We're really interested to see where they're going.
Yeah, the fact that he says, there's chaos in you, could that be his multiple personalities, or could that be chaos magic?
Well, he says there's chaos in you, set it free.
Yeah.
And then we see another scene of the Moon Knight costume coming over his body, and it's like, wow, this is really cool.
Why is he picking him out in that crowd? It's so interesting. I think it's going to be great. I mean, the trailer just gave you enough of a taste to really get you excited about this show.
Well, and Oscar Isaac has been interviewed about this a couple times, and he said one of the things. One
of the most challenging parts he's ever played.
Right, and one of the things that he did, he said, since Mark Spector struggles with multiple personalities, he wanted to make sure that every time a personality that he's portraying on the screen, he wanted the audience to know who they were just by the way that he was acting and not necessarily how he had to, say who he was.
Accents and everything.
So he developed different accents
Yeah.
for each one of the different personalities, so you would know who he was at every time. So that's really cool that he's doing that.
Yeah, I think in the comics, Stephen Grant was the rich billionaire guy, and
He's kind of like the Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, he's
personality.
the rich, and the Steven and this is like the nerdy kind of looks like a gift shop. The guy that runs the register at the gift shop. Maybe, I don't know, but come on, this is going to be a home run.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. And again, it sucks that we're going to have to wait a couple months for this, but hey, it'll be great when it gets here.
Yeah, when it gets closer, we'll break down the characters and we'll break down more of what Moonknight is all about.
We'll do a full preview or
Sure.
of Moonknight for everybody, so they kind of know what they're looking forward to. We did get some other Moonknight news this week, and this is unfortunate news. There's a French actor. His name is Gaspard Ulliel. He plays the character Anton Mogart in the Moonknight series, The Midnight Man, and I'll kind of talk about that here in a second. But he died tragically in a skiing accident at the age of 37. So he had already finished filming all of his parts. The show was done for him, but he was on vacation skiing and just died.
Yeah, in the Alps.
Yeah, crazy accident, right?
Yeah, he collided with another skier, and he wasn't wearing a helmet, and head trauma.
Oof,
yeah,
man.
died of head trauma.
Yeah, so, rest in peace, Gaspard Ulliel.
Talented actor, yeah.
So the Midnight... Again, we don't know much about the plot of the show yet. Hopefully we'll get some more trailers as we move forward, but the Midnight Man character is from the Moon Knight comics, was kind of a villain that he fought against a few times. Was a thief, kind of like a Catwoman type of thief, would steal precious,
highly skilled in martial arts and fighting, but he was a thief.
Yeah, he was called the Midnight Man because he would steal things at midnight.
At midnight, right?
Right. He would break into museums and we'd steal valuable works of art, and that was kind of his thing. But I think that it's possible that he's maybe one of the earlier villains that Moon Knight is fighting against as the series is going, and maybe there's stories of the Midnight Man was captured last night by a mass vigilante, and don't know who it was. And,
we don't know how big the part was or how small it was.
We don't know anything, right? But we'll find out a little bit later.
Tragic, absolute shame.
The hits keep coming for this one too. So we got some more box office totals for Spider-Man: No Way Home. It did spend 1 week last weekend. I think Scream was released, and it overtook them as the number one movie in the box office. But they were
for
back,
1 weekend. Yeah,
they were back on top this weekend. Spider-Man's back on top as the number one movie in the box office. Had another, I think it was 14 million in box office totals this weekend. It is now over $721 million domestically. It is now number 4 all-time domestic movie behind Avatar, which is at $749 million. So it's easily going to pass that in another couple of weeks. But
unbelievable.
This is going to end up being, in the top 3 probably when it's done. Maybe 1 or 2, but who knows how long this run continues. The fact that we don't have any major movies dropping for a while. I would think until Batman comes out,
what's in February? We got nothing in February.
Yeah, nothing. Again, your theories around the reason why the Morbius movie was delayed from this month to March or April 1st now is likely because they didn't want to suck away the momentum that Spider-Man No Way Home has.
Suck away from the momentum, and also perhaps maybe an end credit scene with one of the spiders or Spider-Man, or inject something like that. I mean, you got a home run like this, you can play. You got to play off of it. But yeah, I'm looking for that. I'm looking forward to that movie big time.
Yeah, well, we all are. So
speaking of Avatar, Avatar 2 comes out December 16th.
Yeah.
So Avatar, you haven't heard anything about that.
No, and
I think we're going to get a trailer at the Super Bowl.
I think so too. Well, possible. So James Cameron is filming the 3 follow-on movies simultaneously.
Yeah.
So he's doing the
2, 3, and 4, right?
yeah, two Avatars. I mean, and it's been 9 years since Avatar came out. It's been a long time. And so they're making the sequel to Avatar, but they're making 3 sequels to Avatar simultaneously.
Yeah.
And as you can imagine, the production has been slowed and interrupted by the COVID pandemic and everything else that's going on there. So it's taken a lot longer for them to do that. But he's basically doing the same thing they did with the Lord of the Rings movies, where they basically filmed all of them at one point in time and then just released them, year after year. So I think the plan is for them to release one a year.
2 years.
Is it 2 years ago apart now?
2022 and then 2024 is number 3.
Yeah. So, but they're going to film them all at one time. Yeah. So that's what they're doing. But
I wouldn't
amazing. Be. I mean, that's going to be. I think
that's the only movie I can see giving Spider-Man a run for its money.
Yeah, it'll be big. I mean, it will be huge, and especially if it comes out around the same time, around Christmas time. I mean, it's going to have the same response, right? So,
what do we have coming around Christmas?
Shazam.
Shazam.
Yeah, the Fury of the Gods movie is coming out in December.
There's something else though. Is Aquaman? No, that's not coming out. Is that coming out in December?
I thought the Flash movie comes out before that. It comes out in October, November time frame.
I'll have to check my timeline.
Yeah, but I think Shazam! Fear of the Gods is supposed to be released around Christmas time, so that would be something that could fall in the wake of the Avatar sequel. Yeah, for sure. We got a few more pieces of content that were dropped on Disney Plus this week. I don't know if you had a chance to check them out. They did. So all of Marvel over the years had developed these what they called one-shots. The most famous of them was the Trevor Slattery Mandarin one-shot that they did after Iron Man 3 to kind of show you what happened to him when he was in prison, and that the real Mandarin was not happy that he took his name.
Not my favorite one, but that's
the most famous one, the one that probably most people have seen.
Yeah.
There were several others.
The Agent Coulson one, On My Way to Thor's Hammer, is my favorite.
Yeah, so they did a few of those, and these were kind of little really YouTube shows that they made to kind of tie some of the plots between movies together.
Yeah.
So they wanted to let you know what was happening between movies. And they showed Agent Coulson driving through New Mexico, going to where Thor was with his hammer, and he stops at a gas station, and that's a pretty cool one. There's another one where a couple of people, teenagers, get a Chitauri weapon, and Agent Sitwell has to go retrieve this Chitauri weapon. Yeah. There's one with Agent Carter, and that one was really designed to set up her limited television series that was on ABC, the Agent Carter series, kind of post, Captain America: First Avenger. Yeah. They set that one up. There was a couple with Thor, and which are hysterical, where it was in between. It was right before Ragnarok, but it was after Ultron, Age of Ultron, and before or in the middle of Civil War was going on. But he wasn't part of Civil War, so he's trying to tell everybody where he was. Right. He was kind of disappointed he wasn't invited to participate, and he really doesn't have any good friends. So he moved into an apartment in Australia with a guy. They're hysterical. Yeah, so there's a couple of that. And then the final one is Grandmaster. Thor ends up not being there, obviously, because he's what happened in Ragnarok. But then Grandmaster, the guy that he was living with, is looking for a new roommate, and Grandmaster was the one who answered his ad, and now the Grandmaster was living with him. Oh, and it's Jeff Goldblum, and it's hysterical. So, look, they're like 5 to 10 minutes long. They're not long at all. Worth a watch, and you'll kind of go back and see how they were kind of trying to plug in some of the holes between some of the movies. But it was just fun to see them release those there. And then we do have an announcement that Marvel had done these Marvel Studios assembled episodes kind of after each one of these Disney Plus series, doing a behind-the-scenes filming of the show and kind of give you an inside look.
Backstory,
inside look at the actors and the directors and producers and how they made the shows and everything. So the one for Hawkeye has not been dropped yet. That is coming out on February 7th, so we did get that announcement. So February 7th, that one's going to come out. We're going to see the behind-the-scenes filming of the Hawkeye series come out February 7th. So, yeah,
those are good.
All right, well, let's jump into our topic of the week this week. Of course, brought to us by our friends over at Studio GG Studios.
Home of the Man Band.
Yeah, and what's their superhero
Black Viper.
Black Viper. If you haven't checked out Black Viper, you probably should.
Yeah, you probably should.
So go check them out. Studio GG Studios. Go check out their YouTube page.
You will be singing it for majority of the night. It is catchy. Yep. Never loses its flavor. Not like a piece of gum that you spit out after 3 seconds.
All right. Well, we've had 2 new movies come out since Titanium and I re-ranked our movies. I think we looked at our MCU movie rankings. It was our first episode. It's one of the first things we did on SuperTalk when we launched the show. We ranked the MCU movies.
Yeah, we went through our rankings, each of our personal rankings.
And then after Shang-Chi came out, we said, hey, let's figure out where this movie fits into our rankings of movies, right? So there are now 26 total Marvel movies in the MCU. We're not, including the independent, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. Nothing that's not directly related to Marvel Studios. So these are just the MCU-based Marvel Studios movies. We've had 2 come out since Shang-Chi when we last looked at this list. We had the Eternals come out last fall, which was just recently released on Disney Plus. So if you haven't seen that, go out and check it out. Does really create a lot of questions about the future of the MCU and where the Eternals and the Celestials and all these other, and the Black Knight and everything else what's gonna happen going forward. So it does probably create more questions than it answers.
A little taste of Blade in there.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll see where that one's going. But we've had 2. We've had those 2 movies come out. So we wanted to say, well, where do we put these movies in the pantheon or the order now of our MCU movie rankings? Again, now that we're up to 26, so let's review our list again and find out where these movies fit in. So the first one we can talk about, which will probably be the highest one on our list, is Spider-Man No Way Home. So you and I have waxed poetic about this movie and talked about how much we love it and thought it was a great movie. Not only a great standalone movie, but when you think about it, probably the best Spider-Man movie ever made. Pretty close, if not arguably. Again, I think, and again, this is not an MCU movie, but I do think Into the Spider-Verse was a great Spider-Man movie and probably one of my favorites. But this one, live action, this is the best live action Spider-Man movie ever.
I agree.
So that being said, well, where does it fall inside of our MCU movie rankings across all the other MCU movies? So why don't you tell us where you put it on your list?
It's top 5 for me. I have it at number 4. It's a top 5 Marvel movie for me. I couldn't put it any lower. It's too good.
So list out what are your top 5 now?
Number 1, Iron Man. Number 2, I have Endgame, but I could have sworn I put Infinity War at number 2. But yeah, number 2, number 3, Endgame, Infinity War, and then Spider-Man No Way Home, and then 5, Guardians 1. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, so it is a top 5 movie for Titanium. And I also have it at number 4, behind the original Avengers, Infinity War number 2, Endgame number 3, then Spider-Man No Way Home, and then Black Panther after that is number 5. So it is definitely, without question, a top 5 movie. This is one of those movies that when it does get released to on demand, Disney Plus, or wherever we're going to be able to watch it, who knows when or how it's going to happen, we'll probably buy it, the digital version, and I will watch that movie.
Oh yeah, I've seen
several times.
Yeah,
and
I've seen it in the theater twice already. I'm thinking about a third. It's one of those movies where if I see it in the theater twice, like the other ones, it's a big time movie for me.
Oh yeah, so it'll be one that it'll be on again. Like I can't wait for it to come out on demand, and I'll watch it again. It's that good. So that's the easier one. The other one is the Eternals, and I think you and I were pleasantly surprised about how much we liked this movie. I thought our expectations for this movie were incredibly low, and it exceeded our expectations, which was really good. We were, again, the things that we had heard. The cast was fantastic, which we knew already. We heard the movie was visually stunning, right? Chloe Zhao was going to do a fantastic job with the visuals and the special effects and everything else, which it was. But the plot of the movie and the characters were actually a lot better than I thought they
Yeah.
were going to be.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought this was the movie. We knew it was going to be visually stunning. That's what everybody was talking about. I felt like it was going to be crowded because of all the characters and a lot of
The star power
that was in there, and to give them screen time. Also, a lot of characters that they had to develop and talk about and give this history of who the Eternals are, what they're all about. I thought it was going to be a little cumbersome, and it was at points. It kind of was at times. It was a lot to digest. There was a lot going on, a lot of information. So, but still, really pleasantly surprised. I liked it a lot. But I have it at number 20.
Number 20.
So it's in my top 20, but it's at number 20.
Yeah, I have it a little bit higher than that. I actually have it at number 17. So it's a little bit higher for me. I do think it's better than Spider-Man.
Where do you have Shang-Chi?
I have that at 11.
Okay, I have it at 10.
Yeah, it's a little bit higher for me.
Yeah, me too. I have it at 10.
Yeah, but I do think it's better than, Spider-Man Far From Home and Captain Marvel.
Read me your top 20.
Top 20 is now Avengers, Infinity War, Endgame, Spider-Man No Way Home, Black Panther, Captain America Winter Soldier, Iron Man, Captain America Civil War, Ragnarok, Guardians, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Spider-Man Homecoming, Doctor Strange, Avengers Age of Ultron, Captain America the First Avenger, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Eternals, Spider-Man Far From Home, Captain Marvel, Iron Man 3. So that's my top 20.
Wow, Captain Marvel at 19?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought it was... Again, I know there's people out there, some of our fans out there that...
One sitting right next to you.
Yeah, that are not big fans of Brie Larson. I think her off-screen antics are taking away...
She's a smoke show, but her off-screen antics are taken away from the character.
Yeah, but...
And I think they got the 90s music right on. That was great.
And Sam Jackson was
He's unbelievable.
great in that movie, and they brought Coulson back for that movie, and the introduction of the Skrulls into the MCU. I mean, there were some big parts of that movie. And again, Captain Marvel, the character, is very important for Marvel, the MCU, the Avengers going forward. So, that's why I had that up there.
Okay, all right. I had Eternals at 20, so...
So, you want to read your top 20?
Iron Man, Endgame, Infinity War, Spider-Man, No Way Home, Guardians 1, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. At 7, I have Avengers. At 8, I have Ragnarok. At 9, I have Civil War. 10, I have Shang-Chi. 11, I have Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming. At 12, I have Ant-Man. At 13, I have Doctor Strange. 14, Guardians 2. 15, Captain America First Avenger. 16, Age of Ultron. 17, Far From Home. 18, Black Panther. 19, Ant-Man and the Wasp. And 20, Eternals.
So the only movie on that list that's been nominated for an Oscar, you have it at 18.
I have it at 18. Absolutely. Yeah, I thought it was a great movie. I think the character is phenomenal. But compared to the other ones, I enjoyed the other ones way more. And I've seen Black Panther like 3 or 4 times.
Right.
But it's tough to rank Black Panther. It really is. It had a lot of hype and a lot of momentum that I felt was okay. Yeah, it's a great movie. It's really good, but I'm not going to put it in my top 5 because everybody says it's so great. It's just that's where I put it. So
we each have our own opinion, right? Which
absolutely.
Is a great thing
and
about
another
it.
thing that I get a lot of shit about is the Ant-Man movies. I have them ranked very high. It's because my love for Paul Rudd. I just think he's the greatest.
So that's like the exact opposite of the Brie Larson scenario, is that you love Paul Rudd so much,
yes,
and therefore you probably elevate the Ant-Man movies
correct,
higher in your list because you like the actor that much.
Yes.
And that's why the Captain Marvel movie is so low on your list.
Well, I have it at 23. So
Right.
You have it at 18.
Yeah.
I have it at 23. So it's somewhere there, but not really.
Yeah. But I think your disdain for her is definitely affected.
Could have something to do with it.
Yeah, which is why you love the Iron Fist series on Netflix so much.
Now you're trying to trigger me. That was a trigger. You're trying to trigger me. You know I hate that series. Hated it.
Poor Finn Jones. Man. He'll never get over.
I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm sure he's a great kid, Finn Jones. Hey, good luck with your acting career. Stay away from Iron Fist. Don't play that part ever again. Ugh.
So speaking of Netflix, I had some friends over the other night, and a question was asked. They were saying, "Hey, have you seen Hawkeye?" And we were kind of talking. Of course, I've seen Hawkeye. Yeah, we were talking about it. And I said, "How did you like the Vincent D'Onofrio cameo?" And they're like, "Oh my God!" When he showed up, I was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing! He's a great actor." And I'm like, "Yeah, did you know that he played that character in the Daredevil Netflix series?" And then he's like, "No, I've never seen it." I'm like, "You got to go back and watch those."
That's like the main character.
That's why it's so cool for him to be in Hawkeye, is because he was in you mean the same guy that was in the Spider-Man movie that caught the brick? I'm like, yeah, that's Daredevil, and they're bringing him back too. And he's like, oh yeah, I should probably go back and watch those. And we've talked about the Netflix series. Look, Daredevil was a home run. All 3 seasons were off the charts good, just 100% home runs, right? So if you haven't seen them, go see the Daredevil. I mean, if you're only going to watch one, go see the first 3 seasons of Daredevil.
Yeah.
I would say that the first season of The Punisher was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. The second season, kind of really, really violent and gory, but really kind of a crazy plot in the second season. But still, The Punisher, I would recommend as well.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones, you will love it. You will be surprised at how much you like it. It is very, very good. Luke Cage and Iron Fist, I'd say, I think
Luke Cage before Iron Fist. Luke Cage was okay. But
again,
Daredevil,
Mike Colton, who played Luke Cage,
awesome.
Perfect guy for the role.
I'd love
played
to see
the role
him
great.
with some real writers behind him.
Yes.
Like some kind of writers behind him. I think they focus so much on making Harlem a character in that series, a character of its own, that it took away from the superhero-ness of the whole show.
Well, and you and I have had discussions about this before, not on SuperTalk, so we'll talk about it a little bit here. Those series struggled with the contractual obligations they had to Netflix. So they had to make a 13-episode series.
Yeah.
And
instead of a 6 or an 8.
If you watch those series now, you will see how drawn out they are, and how so many episodes are slow, and it just takes them forever to get to certain parts of the plot. And as a matter of fact, the one thing that Luke Cage suffered from in the first season was they went through like 7 or 8 episodes with Mahershala Ali as Diamondback, the big villain of the movie, and then he dies, spoiler alert, and then they bring in a totally new villain for the second half of the series, and you're like, what just happened here? And it was because it was disjointed. They had to do 13 episodes, and they couldn't fill 13 episodes of Diamondback, so they had to go with Bushmaster in the second part of it.
But you wanted 13 episodes
Right.
of Daredevil. I mean,
yeah.
You wanted more episodes of Daredevil. It was so good.
It's amazing. So look, go check them out. They're still on Netflix, and it's good to see that now Marvel is grasping hold of some of those actors who played those roles, because they did such a great job, and I can't wait to see where they're going to put them. Again, we've got some rumors that we're going to possibly see Charlie Cox again during the She-Hulk series on Disney Plus. Most likely going to see him in the Echo series when that comes out, probably next year. Can't wait to see where he shows up. Gosh, if John Bernthal comes back as a Punisher, I will flip myself, because he was just so good in that role. And
People will lose their minds.
Yeah, and we already know that Kingpin's back. So, and again, there's Kristen Ritter, who played Jessica Jones. The rumors are that she's been asked to come back as well. So who knows what they're going to do with these characters? I can't wait to see.
I think it added to Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh my
Absolutely
God.
right.
We went crazy when that happened in that movie.
Come on, that's just
How did you do that?
Yeah,
I'm a good lawyer.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God.
And you notice his hand was right behind his, right?
Yeah,
He was going to catch that break.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Professor, good show. Let's ring the bell. School's over.
All right, well, that's it for us this week. We'll be back next week for more Super Talk. To get in touch with us on social media, hit us up via email at supertalkpodcast@outlook.com or at supertalkpod on Twitter. Until then, stay super, everyone.
and we are out.
Thanks, YouTube. Keep up the watches, the subscribes, the thumbs up. We really appreciate it.
Black Viper. Everyone likes this game. Haters gonna hate. And I know you can't wait to see the Black Viper. Round and round she goes. Hardly no one knows. In her black pantyhose. Black Viper. Black Viper. Black Viper.